Let's go to the NFL. Senior NFL writer Jeremy Fowler is here for his Fowler's 5. Normally this is when we do the Fowler Files, but we're switching things up with the Fowler's 5 today, where we're going to run through some headlines, 5 specifically, that Jeremy Fowler is going to fill us in on where exactly we're at. We're going to use this touchscreen, so everyone buckle up.
Swiping.
Here we go. We're swiping. And see, that's why I said buckle up. We're going to start with Aaron Rodgers. June 1st is tomorrow, I think. What's the holdup here?
Well, the holdup is the Steelers are just kind of hanging here, Shay. When I check with people with the team, they continue to say they've had contact with Aaron Rodgers. They've remained optimistic, but nothing has gotten this to the finish line yet. We always knew with his first foray into free agency in his 20-year career, this was all going to be very unpredictable. So right now the Steelers are working with Mason Rudolph and rookie Will Howard in OTAs. The hope would be that around May 10th through 12th, when they hit the field for mandatory minicamp, that Rodgers would be there. Right now, they're simply waiting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you like I said, I think tomorrow is June 1st? Okay, where am I? Where's my brain? Okay.
You're good so far.
Another AFC North team with things to do is obviously the Bengals. Trey Hendrickson looking to get paid. What do you know about him?
Well, he had said he plans to miss games if he doesn't get his contract. I've checked with sources close to Hendrickson. They believe that he is dug in here, that he could very well do that. He's made a lot of money. He is dug in on the fact that he just feels like they have not offered him, the Bengals that is, a contract commensurate with his skill set. So he wants something in that $30+ million range based on what those other top pass rushers are getting. Bengals made an initial offer in the spring. It wasn't quite where it needed to be. So now it's just truly a standoff. There's a lot of time left. Talking to executives around the league, they do believe that they can come to some sort of common ground maybe before training camp. But if not, I mean, he is prepared to sit out some action. We'll see how the conviction plays once the fines start coming. A lot of players end up coming, but he's not happy.
I mean, this is a guy that led the NFL in sacks last year, so this is wild that Cincinnati's kind of dragging their feet on this. Okay, we keep it moving here with Jaylen Ramsey.
There we go.
Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make life easy. Jaylen Ramsey, tomorrow or next month, there's an important date on the horizon for Jaylen Ramsey. Tell me more about it.
So June 1st.
There we go, tomorrow.
If they were to trade Ramsey, the Dolphins, after June 1st, they would save almost $10 million in cap space. As opposed to doing it right now in May, they would be taking about an $8.5 million cap hit. So the plan still is for the Dolphins to move on from Ramsey. They've been talking to multiple teams. They've been engaged in trade talks. The feeling is they can get this done. The Rams have been involved to some extent. It's been hard to find another mystery team that's going to get this to the finish line. We'll see if LA steps up.
I watched a little Mike McDaniel press conference yesterday. Normally he's pretty chatty about things, very open. Not so much with one Jaylen Ramsey. Okay, I got smart here. Here we go with Kyle Pitts. What do you know about him?
So a little trade buzz on that right now. I checked with a source who said that if the Falcons can get a really good offer for Kyle Pitts, that he very well could be moved. So it's not a situation where they're aggressively shopping him, but they certainly appear open. That's the feeling around the league, that they'd be open to moving him at the right offer. And so from Pitts' perspective, he does love Atlanta. He's not requesting a trade or anything, but my sense is he would at least be open to a new offense somewhere else, because right now he's probably the third or fourth option in Atlanta. Somewhere else he could be more prominently featured for that.
Yeah, after his rookie season, he's kind of dipped off a little bit. The good news, though, is that Pitts has played a full 17-game slate in 3 of his 4 NFL seasons. Okay, lastly, I feel like we've barely talked about Cam Ward. How is he looking early on here in Tennessee?
So one thing that has stuck out to the Titans coaches is that Cam Ward has been essentially living in the building. So he came in with the rep as a hard worker. I've told they've had to kick him out of some meeting rooms, some coaches' offices, literally kicked him out. Hey, we're good, man. You put your work in today. He is full go trying to learn the Titans offense. And the plan, my sense is the plan is they'll give him more and more. And so right now, they're easing him in. He's not getting all the first team reps. I expect that to change as the weeks go on, especially leading into training camp. And they have Will Levis, the third-year quarterback they drafted in the second round a few years ago. I think the plan is to keep him around right now. They feel like he can still be a good influence on Ward, and they can have a solid quarterback room.
Okay, but living at the facilities, I'm sure coaches love to hear that. By the way, Tennessee opens the season in Denver on September 7th. Jeremy Fowler with his 5. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
No truth to that.
The Cleveland Browns began their first OTA session yesterday with the most notable absence from voluntary workouts being Myles Garrett. Apparently, if you look at his Instagram, he's in Japan. All the focus, though, is on the quarterback battle. It's very, very crowded there. Here's Kevin
We're mixing it up every single day, so that's why I tell you not to read much into it, even though you guys don't listen to me. But we're just trying to get guys exposure to different concepts, those type of things. So we're not leaning into or worried about the order at this moment.
Because it's a good question to bait somebody into answering, and no matter how they answer it, it kind of makes the guy that's answering it look bad. If I say I don't want to be a mentor, I look bad. if I say I do want to be a mentor, then I look like an idiot that doesn't care about being good and playing football. I tend to try to be honest, and I've said I'm not a mentor. I play football. There's learning experiences, and I have a lot of experience, and I can talk on things, and hopefully they listen. But it's not necessarily like my job to like make sure they listen to me.
You gotta appreciate his honesty there, Bud. I mean, really. You got Flacco, you got Pickett, you got Gabriel, you got Sanders. I mean, what do you make of this crowded room, Bud?
They got a lot of misfit toys in that room, and I get it. First of all, I love the honesty from Joe Flacco. His job is not to be the role model, the mentor. It's to come in there and be the veteran quarterback and try to bring some stability to their room. As far as the room in general, like Deshaun Watson, 2 Achilles surgeries, Flacco, Kenny Pickett with the 2 gloves, then you got the 2 rookies coming in with Sanders and Gabriel. I don't know what we're going to get from them. I don't think anybody with any sense knows what you're going to get from that room. I suspect at some point it's going to be Flacco or Kenny Pickett trying to figure out who's going to start, and then they're going to figure out with the young guys. I don't think Watson is going to be ready coming off not just 1, but 2 Achilles surgeries. So at some point, Lewis, like if you're really going to be honest about this room, they really don't know what they have in this room right now, and they got to hope that somebody steps forward, whether it's a young guy or one of the veterans that they have.
But it's really going to be all about rep efficiency, right? As a player, that's what you're looking for. As a coach, that's what you're looking for. Meaning, look, everyone's not going to get equal reps. Everyone's not going to get the same amount of reps, exposed to the same looks, get the same number of throws in each period, whether it be first down, second down, third down, red area 2 minute. But it's about the efficiency. It's about having as close to perfect reps as possible. And then it's up to Kevin Stefanski. And then I think it's important for Kevin Stefanski to move this around from day to day, from practice to practice, to make sure, as he just said, make sure all these guys, though, are exposed to the situations that he needs to expose them to, so he can then make a real, a real organic decision about who's the best guy, so it's truly a meritocracy. You want to make sure that in the end is what comes out of this, and that you're not stacking the deck in one guy's favor over another, which we've seen coaches do now, because they're human beings, and they want certain guys to excel based upon their own convictions going into it. And we've seen that mess things up in the history, and we'll see it mess things up going forward.
I think it's so interesting what you're saying, because I remember covering the Seahawks in 2012 up at that training camp up in Renton, Washington, and they had the late Tavares Jackson in camp. You had Matt Flynn, who just signed a massive free agent deal, and in comes the 3rd round Russell Wilson, and he was bar none the best player. And then the preseason starts, and he's throwing touchdowns all over the Cowboys. And to a man, you couldn't look around to anyone covering the team or anyone within the organization and say anything than, hey, our 3rd round rookie's the best quarterback we got. He started week 1. It's really difficult for a day 3 quarterback to start out of the gate. But with the current situation, and you have a Joe Flacco who has been there, done that, and has been there, done that with this team, and you have Kenny Pickett, who was a backup last year, and you have Dylan Gabriel, who no one else really saw as a day 1 or day 2 pick other than the Cleveland Browns. There is a window. But for Shedeur to have that opportunity, he has to outwork and outplay those guys every single day, because the uphill battle of being a day 3 pick, that is real. Yet I think there is a window open, and in other situations where there's a bona fide starting quarterback, there wouldn't be. So there is an opportunity for Shedeur to win this job.
Yeah, and you bring up the Wilson comparison, maybe the guy nobody saw coming, and then in no time, he brought them to their first Super Bowl championship. Well, the Ravens have been one of the top teams in the NFL since John Harbaugh took over in 2008. During that span, they have the 4th best win percentage in the league. They are tied for the 3rd most playoff wins. That might surprise you. Their average margin of victory is 2nd highest in the league. Maybe it shouldn't surprise you given Super Bowl 47 and that title, but this version of the Ravens, Peter, has to take the next step in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson sits at 3-5 in his career in the playoffs. So, I mean, what concerns, if any, do you have about this roster, or do you see them as complete?
How do they get over the hump? You know, it was all there for them last year. The Chiefs weren't the same mighty Chiefs offensively they'd been in the past. The Bills were a team that the Ravens absolutely blew out on a Sunday night earlier in the season. And they get to the playoffs, and of course they get that opportunity, and they go to Buffalo. And whereas Lamar Jackson had been flawless the last several months of the season, there was 2 bad picks in the first half.